Introducing the Past Present Feature Film Festival, a new showcase celebrating cinematic storytelling across time. From bold proof-of-concept shorts to standout new films lighting up the circuit to overlooked features that deserve another look. Sponsored by the Past Present Feature podcast and Leica Camera, all films screen in Hollywood using Leica's CineWay projector. Submit now at filmfreeway.com/past-present-feature. The past, the present, the future of film, all under one spotlight. Welcome to the Past Present Feature podcast. All right, season 3 is upon us. It's been 2 full years, and when Tribeca rolls around, that means a new season starts. And here we are. You know, I thought, why not keep going? It's been great. Not always. It's been work also, you know, just keeping up with this podcast and being consistent and trying to book guests. And I chose to keep going because, you know, it's too much good stuff coming from this, whether it be my own education, being able to relate to other filmmakers and their journeys and their struggles, but also just the networking has been really nice, you know, just connecting with like-minded people. And I'm happy to say that season 3 is kicking off right now. Here we go. Daniel Blake Schwartz breaks down how Tribeca Best U.S. Narrative Feature winner Cotton Fever grew out of years spent collecting stories during his own experience with addiction and recovery, ultimately transforming those fragments into a deeply personal debut feature. Drawing inspiration from filmmakers like Andrea Arnold, where we discuss Fish Tank, and Hirokazu Karita of Shoplifters, Schwartz pursued a style rooted in realism, empathy, and lived experience rather than conventional dramatic structure. His film evolved from a self-funded short into an award-winning feature through grassroots fundraising, community support, a first-time filmmaker grant from Panavision, and the eventual attachment of actors Kyle Gallner and Sosie Bacon. Along the way, Schwartz navigated the uncertainty of first-time feature directing, discovering that some of the film's strongest moments emerged from vulnerability, collaboration, and instincts that couldn't always be explained on the page. At its core, Cotton Fever is a reminder that the most powerful stories often come from the experiences we're most hesitant to revisit. The challenge isn't always finding something meaningful to say. It's having the courage to tell the story that's already closest to you. Well, first of all, how was Tribeca, the experience?
Yeah,
overall?
Tribeca was incredible. So, you know, most of the filmmaking team is from Boston, you know, Somerville and, you know, kind of the greater Boston area.
Uh-huh.
And for us to all be able to travel down, see the premiere. We have a lot of the actors too that actually live in New York, so they got to attend the premiere.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I mean, it's just a dream. I mean, to premiere there, yeah, furthermore to win awards there, it's just incredible. And yeah. So.
Nice. Yeah, we were in town last week, as you know, for a separate series that we're filming, and we
cool.
actually interviewed Kara Cusimano, the director of Tribeca.
Oh, nice.
It's so nice to know that these bigger festivals are in good hands with people that just seem so down to earth. She seems so sweet, normal, all that. So I just wanted to praise her for a second because, you know, she was really nice to talk to, and it was cool to see a little bit of inner workings, kind of a quick, you know, hour tour of, you know, what they're doing over there at Tribeca. So yeah, good stuff. Screening in New York City too. Whatever you're doing in New York City, it's nice to be in New York City, right? The energy there, but to screen a film there at a prestigious festival, that's got to be a great feeling. Got to be a great.
Oh
feeling.
yeah, it was incredible, and just the diversity of the crowds that came out. You know, it wasn't just industry people. It had just a lot of people from, you know, New York who just kind of like heard about the film. You know, people who were kind of friends of the production, but, you know, aren't necessarily like film people, and a lot of people in the recovery community as well, you know, somehow found out about it and came out, and just to hear their unique perspectives on the film, it was just really a blessing, you know, versus being, you know, at some bigger film festival where it's like harder to, or a film festival rather, that's like in a city that's, you know, more devoted to the festival itself. Yeah, just having New York City right there. So.
Yeah, totally. I'm just going to read your just a little bit about your film, Cotton Fever, directly off the Tribeca Film website. Inspired by director Daniel Blake Schwartz's real-life experiences, this striking debut feature charts the uneven cycles of addiction and recovery among several interconnected lives in Chelsea, Massachusetts, with grit and emotional clarity. The perilous odyssey of a small-time drug dealer is explored with acute emotional clarity. In Cotton Fever, a portrait of several characters living on the edge in their desperate daily quest to survive the throes of addiction. After a failed attempt at treatment, James, played by Kyle Gallner,
Gallner, yeah,
in a deeply
yeah.
felt performance, slips back into using and dealing despite his girlfriend's pregnancy and the looming responsibilities of the fatherhood. So I'll that's enough to give people an idea of what this film is. But I got a chance to watch it. Thanks for sending the screener. And this is a technical thing, but I do love to see me some 4:3 aspect ratio.
Mm.
It's just but it applied. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it made sense for this material because it felt like they were being closed in on. These characters, they're in a tight space. Very dramatic kind of
Yeah.
tight space. But tell me why. Not to spend too much time. Well, you did win best cinematography, so we should talk about that a little bit. Like,
Yeah, I should have
choice?
brought Tom, my cinematographer, on here to give his 2 cents as well. But
Well,
yeah. I mean, I think there is I love the intimacy of 4:3 when you're shooting close-ups and the way it kind of contrasts when you have wider shots and that, like you were talking about, that kind of closed-in feeling. Ultimately it was just when we were out doing test shoots and experimenting with the look of this film, it just felt right. And I'm a huge Andrea Arnold fan as well, and love her films and
she
love
comes up more than any other filmmaker on this podcast. I swear to God.
Oh, really? Oh, well,
she's
that's
got the
incredible.
record for sure. I just need to get her on so I can talk to her. But go ahead.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But yeah, I mean, just the verite, kind of handheld, that felt right for the film. And I've watched all of her films, and there were definitely inspiration pieces for it. But yeah, I mean, ultimately though, it just came down to just like feeling right, with a lot of the decisions you make in film. It's, we played around with it, we experimented, and ultimately, it just felt right for kind of the voice of this film.
Yeah, it just felt right. Yeah, that's a good answer, right? Because sometimes it just feels right. Well, since you're already talking about Andrea Arnold, tell me what are some of your favorite Andrea Arnold films?
Yeah, I mean, Fish Tank and American Honey, I've just watched so many times, and they're just deeply moving films for me. And yeah, so I think those are my kind of 2 favorites. And yeah, I mean, they're just such beautiful, works of like realism, and then just also looking at the 2 films and the way they were shot, and and how she's able to make these beautiful pieces that feel like they're pulled out of reality, right? She also kind of integrates bigger stars in there as well, and so there's kind of the financial side of making that work, and the stars, like, kind of talent to but then she also pulls in every one of her movies, there's often this person that's kind of unknown that becomes the star as well, which I really respect. And the risk at doing that, and the effort and time to find people, because it's hard finding fresh talent. I mean, it's just a really it's a lot of work. And but yeah, I mean, so I think and there's just her films, there's just so much empathy I have for the characters after watching. And but they're also just like very energetic at the same time. I feel like they're meditative but also energetic, and there are these moments of like wild energy, but then there's just like also really beautiful, touching moments that emerge in all of her films. So
amazing breakdown for anyone that's yet to see an Andrea Arnold film. Yeah, that touched on it. The first one I saw was Fish Tank back in the day, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know anything about Andrea Arnold, but with Michael Fassbender, and I don't remember the lead protagonist's name, but she was a newcomer, I believe, at the time. Let me look that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I remember just knowing nothing about it and just being completely hypnotized by the film. It was just it is just this like magnetic realism thing that she's got. I don't know. She's got a command of the craft for one, for
Yeah, the
sure.
cinematography too is just so incredible. And the production design too, even though it's like all like realism, like the amount of energy and time it probably took to like figure out the colors
Sure.
and especially in Fish
Not an
Tank and the
accident. Yeah.
interior. Yeah. I mean, I
Mhm.
just yeah, me and my production designer, we, looked at, the interiors from, Fish Tank and, it's we're just, thought about those a lot when shooting and we
Sweet.
didn't quite have the budget to to
Yeah.
paint houses or like, but it's something we were definitely thinking about and
Which
trying
I'm
to
sure
do.
helped
So
nonetheless.
yeah, yeah,
So Katie
absolutely.
Jarvis is the plays Mia in Fish Tank,
Oh
and
yeah,
Fish
yeah,
Tank is about Mia is a rebellious teenager on the verge of being kicked out of school. Her hard partying mother, Joanne, neglects Mia's welfare in favor of her own, and her younger sister hangs out with a much older crowd. Sparks fly between Mia and Connor, played by Michael Fassbender, Joanne's new boyfriend, and he encourages Mia to pursue her interest in dance. As the boundaries of the relationships become blurred, Mia and Joanne compete for Connor's affection. It's on Tubi for free right now. Go watch it. Yeah, we got the old film out of the way so we can check that box, but it's always nice to, just like look back and say, damn, look at these movies that got us going, that shaped us and got us excited. And you literally pulled from some inspiration from that, it sounds like, in general. Any other
yeah.
films that you might have pulled from, or even just ones that simply inspired you?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so many. But yeah, I think for me, the movie Shoplifters by Correa. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I never did see it.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful film. I think yeah, for me, I was always it's kind of the story of this family and they're kind of like a step above homeless, living together. They're
Hmm.
stealing and
Hmm.
they, kind of kidnap this kid and bring them into their family. But um, yeah, I think it's just this incredible, there's just so much love and tenderness in this
Hmm.
film and in such a conventionally kind of dark place.
Hmm.
And it was something that just like really resonated with me when I watched it.
Nice. On the
And
margin. Yeah, sounds great. Actually,
yeah, yeah,
2018. Damn,
yeah, yeah,
feels like 2 years ago when I saw that come out.
yeah,
Nope, eight
yeah.
years ago. On the margins of Tokyo, a dysfunctional band of outsiders are united by fierce loyalty and a penchant for petty theft. When the young son is arrested, secrets are exposed that upend their tenuous below the radar existence. But, anyways, okay, so past movies aside, do you have a first memory of wanting to make films? Like make them, not just watch them.
That's a tough one. So my father was a like English professor and cinema studies professor at like a small
Nice.
state school.
Okay.
And he would take me to university, because he didn't have like a babysitter or whatever. And he would stick me in his office and he would go teach and he had all these VHS tapes and he would put movies in for me to watch. And I was like
Nice.
10 years old, right? And
Uh-huh.
I remember he showed me Blue Velvet when I was 10 and then Pulp
Wow, good dad.
Fiction. Yeah, yeah. And all these things. And, I think, I don't know, I just, all this stuff got kind of like deep in my subconscious. And, I think there's also like an element of bonding with, kind of a parent, over,
Yeah.
appreciating art. And yeah, and I think I wanted to be like a writer for a while and um, always thought about doing that. But writing is just very isolating and
Oh, man. Hmm.
yeah, it's you're very alone and I just really always loved the collaborative nature of film and
Hmm.
would see these movies and have fantasies about kind of, oh, maybe I should do that someday, but it always really felt out of reach. And but I think those were kind of the first sparks is seeing these movies and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
just being like, oh, I should do that, and having kind of wild ideas that were probably ungrounded in my youthful mind.
But here you are,
Yeah.
here you are. It's funny because I'm showing my 6-year old, 6.5 now, almost 7, certain films where I'm like, should I be showing him this? I'm not showing him a Caligula or anything, but just like
If you want him to be a filmmaker, yes, you should.
yeah, right. He's been well versed in '90s genre films at this
Yeah.
point. So, anyways, it's been a lot of fun just reliving these movies, like showing, watching it for the first time through their eyes. There's something so good, so exciting about that. And when I showed him ET, that was the first one where I was like, oh, now he gets the power of it. Like his
Yeah, yeah.
mouth just dropped, his eyes got big when they biked across the moon to John Williams score. Like, there it is.
Oh, wow.
But anyways, Blue Velvet. Also, I can't help but say, I used to live in Wilmington, North Carolina, where they shot that. I used to live right beside the
Oh, wow.
building that the apartment building, the brick apartment building that they filmed it in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Small little town. But anyways, yeah, that's so cool to hear though. And your dad, does he still teach, or what is he doing?
Yeah, he's retired now, but yeah, I mean, he made it to the premiere, which I think was, a
Ah,
highlight for him. And he tried to go to film school when he was younger. I think he went to USC for like
okay,
a year or something, and then didn't stay, and got more interested in like the theory and like cinema studies side of things.
sure.
And but yeah, I mean, he was at the premiere. I think it was just, yeah, amazing to have him see, me make a feature. And
Nice.
yeah, and I think he really connected with the film, which means a lot. So
What does he also think about you getting best narrative feature? And again, these awards doesn't mean that you're any better than anybody else, but it's so nice to help your film get even more eyeballs and attention, right?
yeah, I think I mean, just super proud and excited. I think, as filmmakers, it's just so hard to make a second film, especially,
Absolutely. And why do you
and
think that is? Because we know after the first one how hard it actually is. Would
I
you
mean,
say
I
it's
think
something to do with
it's
that?
I mean, I put so much blood, sweat, and tears into this movie, and it was something, and to do that again, like, yes, I think I'm ready to do it again, but I think my bank of favors from people in the filmmaking
Hmm.
community is probably pretty dried up at this point.
You can't keep
And
going back,
because I
going back. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I just asked a lot of people, and people showed up, and I'm just so grateful for everyone who came out of the woodwork to help. But yeah, I mean, I just think, because you don't have those favors anymore, it's not your first thing. You have to
Mhm.
have just a higher budget, and to be, and you just need to raise more money. And
Just to have more of
um,
a chance to have a better ultimate film, right? To have a little more
yeah,
resource, a little
exactly.
more, yeah, just because it stretches thin immediately, no matter how much you have. You're right.
When you were mentioning my father too, is like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's like this kind of might pave the way for getting financing for other projects. And
Yes, that's such a great
so
thing.
yeah.
Do you have a second film in mind already that you're thinking of doing?
Yeah, I have a number of scripts that I've been working on, and just struggling to decide, I think,
Sure.
on what I want to
You
do
got some
next. It's a
time.
hard question. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of I kind of have one that might be a little similar to the first one, and I'm like, oh, do I really want to make another
Because
film
then
like
you're going to
that?
be in that box
Yeah,
probably, right? Oh, he's the guy that
exactly.
makes
Yeah,
addiction movies or something.
yeah. Or not necessarily addiction, but like ensemble pieces about
Okay.
like
Which
societal
which I
things.
wanna
And
talk
yeah,
about also with
yeah,
ensemble. I love ensemble films. I love them so
yeah.
much. Alright, the beginnings of this film then, the origin, like, why this story? Why did you need to tell this story? And also kind of, bake in what it was like to kinda get it moving from script to pre-production, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is a deeply personal story for me. I'm in recovery from addiction, and over the years when I was in active addiction, I kind of had a storyteller's mind and was collecting all these bits and pieces of story, and thinking I wanted to be a writer, or just knowing, maybe it was a way to like process kind of the trauma that I was going through, or whatever. But yeah, I was always collecting these bits and pieces. And yeah, and then when I got sober and started thinking about creativity and what I wanted to make my first film about, this was the most natural stuff to draw upon. I was really like baked into this world, and knew it really well, and just had all this material. So that's how the project arose. And yeah, in terms of the process of making it, it started out as a short film. It was kind of my first real short. It was like 15 minutes long, and it's has the same title, and it was made with all just local actors, for like a couple $1,000s. We were just running around Boston with documentary
Just getting it
style
done.
cameras. Yeah, getting it done. And I think with that short, I experimented with the visual style and the language, and I got and with that script too. I was like, really, I had a lot of trouble writing when I first started out, and I did a lot of I like Mike Lee a lot, and his films, and he has, this process where he works with, I don't know if it's all of his films, but at least some of them, where he does, he has actors and he figures out what their character is, and then he does a lot of improvs, to figure out, different scenes, and then he kind of distills what they do in these improvs during rehearsal into a final script.
Do you think there's ways sometimes or scenarios sometimes where it would be ineffective, like certain projects where it would be better where you just let them, because everybody has a different approach and style. Do you think
Yeah.
sometimes it's not good to rehearse too much just to be devil's advocate? Other end of the
Oh
spectrum.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so we weren't actually rehearsing what we would do on the day.
Oh, okay,
We
okay.
were this was generative, in order to this was what I was doing during the writing process. So
Fleshing it out, fleshing material out.
I cast people before the script was written, essentially, and was and this is for the short, not what we did in the feature, but
Got you, got
yeah,
you.
and yeah, and this was what I did kind of early, and yeah, and it was fun, and it was just kind of like the other side of things, and it was fun to just explore with actors. And some of the lines that I found in those improvs made it into the final script. But we would just go, and I would be like, let's do a scene about this, let's do a scene about this, and I would videotape it just in an informal way, and then I would distill what they did during improv into a final script, and then we would show up on the day, and actually shoot it. And there's just a lot of things we bumped into, a lot of experiments, and
Mhm.
um, yeah. So that was kind of in the short. And then with the feature, with the writing process, that was a more conventional approach, where I kind of sat down and I had bits and pieces from the short that I had done, and kind of built stuff around it. So
Yeah, yeah, got you. What's up with Ritual? It's another short film you did back in 2018.
yeah.
I see it here.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I can't believe
Oh,
that's still online. Yeah, I mean,
IMDb on the
that's
up
the
there.
that's the first short I ever did, and I love that weird little film. And Yeah, I mean, it was the first thing I ever did, and I don't know, people had given me the advice, make something super short that's 5 minutes long.
Right.
It's easier to program at festivals. It's easier for you to just work with. I'd never gone to film school or anything like that, so it was just kind of
Hmm.
everything was a learning um,
Your film school was
process.
making
And
films. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was the first film I ever did, and I played at some local regional festivals, and I
Hmm.
got some great mentorship from people that I met there.
So it served its purpose.
Yeah, yeah, it served its purpose, and uh, yeah, it's definitely a
These
weird.
stepping
Did you watch
stones.
it or
No,
just
I just saw it on your IMDb.
good? Yeah,
Just a quick search, but it's yeah, it's
yeah,
just. But no, I mean,
yeah,
it's just so important to just at the end of the day, just get out there and just make some stuff, right? Even if it's not your best, you're going to get to your best by making the stuff that you have to make. Just
exactly.
understand what you're
Yeah,
doing, who you are, what you want to say. I mean, it took me forever to realize how to stop making other people's type of movies and make my own. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So, but
absolutely. It's always a temptation to just try to make. something else, that already
The next
exists.
Michael Mann movie or something. Well, let's make Marcus's movie. But anyways, so then you got okay. So making a short film that then turned into a feature. I mean, I've done that with every feature that I've made. I think I'm at
Oh,
feature
wow.
5 now or 6.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean,
amazing.
it's always either been a short film beforehand or a sizzle, of course, beforehand, which is a short film also, really kind of, but just to
Yeah.
get a grasp of what the hell I'm trying to make, but also, of course, to show other people what I'm trying to make so I can get them on board if needed. But I
Yeah, I
love
think it
the
would.
idea.
I think it would be scary to go in to make a feature without. I don't know. I feel like if I do, when I make a second feature, I want to do something. Maybe it's not a short that I release, but
It's just some sort of prototype,
yeah,
right? Just some sort of
yeah.
something. Like, even you don't, we can insert any metaphor we want here, but you don't fly on the first plane that like, they have to, build, you have to do R&D. You have to test it out. You have to kind of like
Hmm.
put it on the track and see before you release it to the public. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, it makes sense. So, okay. So then you got to, okay, it's feature time now. What did financing look like and development and kind of pre-production? Like,
Yeah, so I had kind of a feature script, and let me think about kind of where to start. Yeah, I was just determined to make it at any budget possible. And whether that be, $20,000 and once again, or just like running around Boston again like we did with the short, or
mm-hmm.
anything more. And so it's a movie about addiction and recovery. So started, just tapping networks and finding private donors who are willing to put a little bit of money in. We did we partnered with a nonprofit to get tax deductible status, and this great organization called Filmmakers Collaborative, which is in Massachusetts. We started there, and we had raised a small amount of money. Panavision was just incredible. They gave us a first time filmmakers grant, which, covered all the camera equipment. So I think we
Oh, wait,
had,
what did you shoot on? What did you shoot on?
it was an Arri Alexa Mini.
And then,
Um,
did you have Panavision lenses or?
yeah, we had Panavision lenses. Yeah. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
which series? Nerd talk.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I don't remember. I
All
would, I would
good.
remember
All
if
good.
the names
Mm.
were said. Yeah. Once again, we got to get Tom on here, my cinematographer.
Yeah. Man, that's a nice look. I mean, your film did look
Yeah.
great, but sometimes you can't quite place
Yeah.
the gear. But yeah, damn, that's nice. Panavision.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we had like the makings of a smaller kind of film. And we had this great casting director, Alan Scott Neal, who worked on he worked, doing casting on like Uncut Gems, and a lot of he worked on Euphoria for a while, and he was looking to do his kind of own projects on the side. So he kind of joined the team, and then he introduced me to kind of a producer. Like previously, I'd had producers that were mostly just like, well, none of them had any experience, producing a film. So it was kind of like somebody who was in the movies in my community
Mhm.
who, you know, they were like, they wanted to produce but didn't have any experience. But at a certain point, I had a producer come on, and he had a lot more experience, and had taken films to market and gone through this process before, and he just saw something bigger in the film, and wanted to get some attachments for the kind of two leads. And so we
Is
did
that Phil
that.
Keith, the producer Phil Keith? Is that who that was?
Yeah,
Or who?
yeah, yep,
Okay, I'm just looking at
exactly,
your.
yeah.
I guessed because you have one,
Yeah,
two, three, six, five minus yourself. And
yeah.
then I saw that Phil Keith is the print source contact, and I said, I bet he's the one.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
um
well, having a producer, having someone come on and champion your work, man, isn't that a good feeling? It's like, who,
yeah, it
me?
was
You want to help me?
exactly. I remember it was the first he took me out to coffee in downtown Boston, and he like like was like, no, I'll pay for it. And it's like the first time in my life like anyone had ever like bought something for me in that kind of context of like,
Mm.
I don't know, it was like an interesting feeling.
No, I get it.
And then
I understand.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then he proceeded to spill tea all over me in that meeting. But I
Oh
think it was a
no,
good
Phil.
a good omen. Yeah, if he ever listens to this, he'll yeah, he might have planned it. I don't know. Maybe there's yeah. So he had like a bigger vision for the film, and Kyle Gallner is just an incredible actor. He did this Dinner in America, which is an amazing film. It was at Sundance a while back. It has a real cult following. It's an incredible movie. It's and he just has had this like long career, and he just has this like energy, intensity in his work, but also just like this deep emotional kind of undercurrent. And so we met, and there were just some real connections that he had with the main character James, and with his own personal story. He's in recovery himself, and just really had a lot of insight into the character, and could see immediately that it was going to be a good fit. And then he brought up Sosie's name, and I loved her work in Mayor of Easttown, and they were across from each other in that big movie Smile, so they'd had chemistry and they'd worked together before. And yeah, I had a great call with her, and she shared some things about her own experience, some people that she some loved ones in her life that allowed her to kind of like connect with the script. And she's also a filmmaker in her own right, and she shared a short film that she made that I really connected with, and could see that. So that happened pretty quickly, and that allowed us to raise more money. So we had kind of like a decent budget, and well, decent, yeah, compared to what we had had before. So
Yeah, decent for you. Better than
yeah.
decent probably at the time, right? You were like, look, this is gonna happen now, right? I mean, how exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was the first time too where like the train felt like it was moving without me pushing it,
Oh man.
which is an incredible feeling. Like I feel like I'd never had that with a project where,
Was there any sort of imposter syndrome vibes for you? Or I'll rephrase. Was there any sort of kind of like, what's the catch? Or were you just completely like, I accept this, no questions, let's go?
oh yeah, I mean every day, I mean, yeah, it was terrifying. I mean, there's just
It's
so
that
much
adjustment.
fear. Yeah, it's just so much fear, and so many things that can go wrong. And like it's like we didn't have like a studio behind us or some big funding source.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I just remember when we were shooting, it's like a day of rain could have just
You had
derailed
to
the whole
really hit your
project at the
P's and
wrong
Q's.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like
Which that
everything
stuff
just
makes you a better filmmaker too. I mean, down the line when you have an even bigger budget, those experiences, right, are going to make you even tighter with your game overall.
yeah. I mean, it was a lot too, just with shooting. I mean, the days were we just had to do everything so fast, and
How many shooting days did you have?
so we were 20 days,
Oh man.
but yeah, it was just like so many location changes because we
Hmm.
were just kind of running all around the city all the time, and we often had three, sometimes we had three moves a day.
Was there a lot of that? A
Um,
lot of natural lighting, verite stuff, right? Which probably helped a little bit. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
a good portion of the film, I think like 75% of it was like outdoors in the streets. So,
And when you have a nice camera package and lenses, that also continues to help, right? I mean, it's all about the material and like how I love verite. I mean, there's a place for great lighting. I used to be a grip for 7 years, so I know all about big boy lighting. But also, it's so wonderful when like you see how wonderful it can look, depending on the type of film, by just putting the frame up, and living with, especially if you're doing something that's, in the realism kind of world, which a lot of things are now, right? I mean, it's like verite, natural lighting is so wonderful most of the time, as long as you're minding minding the frame and what it might need.
yeah,
Uh, and I think, you're able to move more nimbly too. Nimbly, is that even a word? You can be more nimble on your feet with like being able to, three locations a day, three location moves a day is still not great, but it's nice to be able to, you know, be a little more flexible with. That's why I love docs, because I don't have, there's not much of a choice even to put lighting on. It's like, I'm going to live with this handheld verite. I'm going to live with what we get. And then, that way I can't, for me personally, it's nice to not even have the option to control, but so much, because too
Yeah.
much control can also be a bad thing. It's a very
Yeah.
interesting kind of a slope right there, slippery slope in that way. Was there any moment in production where, like, the hardest day or hardest moment on set, something that made your nervous system go crazy? I mean, where you were really stressed out? Was there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I was just sick the whole time. I had
Oh,
like the flu, and then
yeah.
everybody kind of converges from like a lot of different places, and I think
Hmm.
I had like one sickness at the beginning of the shoot, and then I got a second one. And I think just those days when I like, had a high fever and was just like trying to
Damn.
direct, it was just kind of miserable. And so, I think uh,
Yeah.
those days when they happen, but I mean, it's also just kind of like a miracle that, yeah, I was able to kind of persevere through that. I mean,
Yeah.
there wasn't really any choice. There were no sick days. So
Right. Yeah. 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 Flu game, Michael Jordan.
yeah. Yeah.
And then, I mean, I'm sure there were some great, surprising, wonderful moments too, right? That you didn't anticipate during shooting.
Oh yeah. Um, Yeah, so I don't know, one of the scenes from the film, we had this incredible day. We were shooting, so we shot totally out of order,
Mhm.
but like a lot of the film takes place over like 1 or 2 days. And it's we needed this one day to be just like sunny, right? It
Mhm.
was a day when we were gonna, there was a scene where they're kind of on a beach, and there's like all these outdoor scenes that like in the script, they take place on sunny days. They're just not going to really work
Right.
with a rainy day. And yeah, and we just had this like, I think the forecast even said like possibility of rain, and then the clouds parted, and
The film gods.
um, yeah, the film gods, and yeah, we just shot so many beautiful scenes. There's this scene with this an alleyway where they find these, kind of peaches in this trash can and drink it, and that was like beautiful. And then they go to the beach, and then I think, yeah, there were some improvs we did on that day where the characters Sam and Manny, yeah, played by Ari and Jabeli, are like they do this improv on the way to the beach, and they're just like listening to music in the car, and we just like ran the camera for the ride to the beach. It was like 35 minutes, and it's some of the most some of my favorite, like it's like a dark film, and it's just like, but we do have these moments of lightness, and there's just
Mhm.
um, these really beautiful moments that they just created on their own.
It's so
You
crazy.
know,
I mean, it's not even
yeah.
crazy at all, I guess. I mean, just letting things happen sometimes can be so beautiful. You don't want to sit there and roll all day long and then not know what to
Hmm.
do in post or whatever. But man, sometimes when you pick that battle or choose that path, even for a narrative fiction piece, it's so nice what you can get just by letting go a little bit.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like.
absolutely.
Was there like a I mean, that's pretty much a general little gist of production right there. I mean, what brought you the most joy? Like, what single element brought you the most joy while even making this film, whether it be writing, producing, production, or post? What's like the thing that brought you the most kind of fulfillment, satisfaction, whatever?
Yeah, I think there were a couple scenes in the script that were not very fleshed out. One of them I won't really even talk about because
Sure.
it would be probably a little bit of a spoiler, but it's basically this scene where the main character like goes down into this church and has this interaction with this church worker that's there.
Hmm.
And it was a very stripped down scene and like very basic, and we didn't even have the budget to shoot the original scene I wanted in that space. So I kind of came down and, came up with this idea. And I didn't know if it would work. I didn't even know quite what I was trying to say with the scene. It was that's like, I feel like the best scenes are like that. It's like, you don't you
Yeah.
can't
You
quite put
feel
your
it, but you
finger.
don't quite
Yeah,
know it in your mind.
exactly. Yeah. So it was just super like, is this gonna make sense? We're like burning half a day on this. We were working with this incredible non-professional actor too, so it was just I was nervous that that was going to work, if we were going to be able to pull it off, um, yeah, it just turned into one of the most like beautiful scenes in the film, and like repeatedly every screening we do, like just like multiple people like talk about that scene
Love
and how
that.
emotional it makes them.
Nice.
So I mean that was, I mean, just when you take those kinds of risks on these, like, you know, these ideas you have that like, yeah, you can't pin down and you don't really know why they work, and you almost feel deeply afraid of them or embarrassed,
Mm-hmm.
or they're
Mm-hmm.
like too vulnerable, you know,
Mm-hmm.
often
Mm-hmm.
to really even like do. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
when you take a chance on those, and you know, for me, I was just like, oh, if it doesn't work, we'll just cut it from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so that gave me like a little bit of, you know, ease with it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, so I think that scene, and there's a couple other scenes like that in the film that um
It's that
yeah, I think,
magic moment. Yeah. Making movies.
yeah,
God, yeah.
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
so wonderful. And working with actors, I mean, working with your actors specifically, there's some great performances in this film. Without giving it away, there's one scene where she is, has just discovered something, and she's sitting outside the car there. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? And just the emotional breakdown that you captured on the screen. It's about halfway through. I don't know how to say it without saying it. I don't want to spoil your movie,
Okay.
but basically, it was such a. It grabbed me. I mean, your performances were really, really nice. I guess talk about working with the actors. Like, how did that look?
Yeah, so I mean, I think everybody in the film, like I kind of worked with in a different way. Like Kyle and Sosie, the two leads, I mean, they've had a lot of experience, and they also had experience working together in a film and
Sure.
like
Yeah.
building chemistry with each other, and had this prior working relationship. And I think they both just really like understood the script, understood what I wanted to do, and like I trusted them a lot to just kind of to go for it. And you know, so they, yeah, I mean, they did incredibly. With some of the other actors that I had more time with, like we got to play around, and um, yeah, like yeah, we just did a lot of like kind of backstory improvs, and you know, there's a lot of different like kind of relationships in the film, and you know, working, um, you know, and just like really trying to find the relationship
Hmm.
through
Hmm.
like rehearsal, and not rehearsing the scene that's going to be in the film, but rehearsing other scenes, and like experimenting. And sometimes, you know, you bump into a new scene, right? And
Yeah.
you're like, oh wait, maybe this should be in the script, and then it gets put in.
Hmm.
But yeah, you know, there was just kind of a lot of uh in this world too, it's like it's a very particular world, and
Hmm.
just getting people to inhabit it in rehearsal, you know, once again, not necessarily just saying the lines over and over again, but like, how does it feel to pick up bottles out of a trash can and to like
Yeah.
fill, you know, a trash bag with bottles? And like, how do you hold your body as somebody who is kind of living on the streets? And how do you hold your body as an outreach worker when you go up and try to give help to somebody? And how do you relate to them, you know, in a real, like kind of genuine way? So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot of, you know, kind of stuff like that.
Nice. 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 All right. So the relief of being done with production, I'm sure was like, okay, we did it. And then you have to, go into post production. I told you I was going to be all over the place with this interview, but it's been very linear actually. But post production and kind of just, I mean, the editing was solid right off the bat. It's one of the first things I noticed. Um, I don't know. Just talk about post, man. Like, was it? Was it just easy breezy for you? It was super easy and simple, or what was it? Was it just, it was just all ready for
No,
you?
no.
Or?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I mean, I worked with this incredible editor, Adam Dictorow. We worked in Brooklyn together, and you know, he started doing an assembly, and then I was in and then we worked online for a little while. I think I was in like Mexico City, and we did like a couple weeks online, and then I went to Brooklyn and we did like a full month in his kind of editing studio. And it was hard going. I mean, cutting this film was really tough. I, as a first-time director, just had so much I think I guess I had said before, I had the flu the whole time, and like, you can kind of like spiral about that stuff too, and you have all this
For
regret, and
sure.
you're like,
Oh
oh, I
my
wish I
God.
had done this, I wish I had done that. Why wasn't
Yeah.
I better prepared?
Terrible feeling. Shame on me.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Yeah, imposter syndrome kind of stuff.
yeah,
A little bit.
exactly. And but I mean, Adam was just like an incredible grounding presence, and he had gone through this with so many films before. He cut this film Mutt, which went to Sundance and in the summers as well. And so he just had a lot of experience working with films that were kind of like similar too. He's just really had been through this and was like, don't worry, like, I've seen the footage, everything's great, like, you have enough, we're gonna make it work. And I think he was, kind of like my film therapist.
Oh my God. I talk
Most
about this a
days.
lot. Film
Yeah,
therapists. This just needs to
yeah,
be a specialized
yeah.
offering. Just a
Yeah,
therapist who just talks to people that make films,
yeah,
Oh my
exactly. So
God.
Adam, yeah, but we cut things together, and I think the script is radically different than what's in the film.
Mm.
In the script, things were in these kinds of 3 chapters, sort of,
Mhm.
that were very discrete. And then in the edit, at a certain point, we were just like, I don't know, we just ended up putting everything in the blender, right? And
Mhm. Mhm.
realized there were all these interesting juxtapositions, and like,
Mhm.
and like every day, I mean, we kind of drove ourselves crazy because every day we would try like a new cut, right? We would just like move things around a ton, right? And then like we usually named the like cuts like after what we ate for lunch that day. So there was like
Oh, that's
a
fun.
chicken parm cut, and like
How
I don't know, it was
cheeky.
just like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was random, but eventually we were just like confident that like blending it all together was gonna make this work. And it made it more kinetic and gave it more energy, and
Did you have like a
solved.
deadline that you gave yourself, or what did that look like? Were you
Oh yeah, there were so many deadlines, and so many
Yeah.
deadlines that were broken. So Adam was also having a baby, his first kid, and
Okay. Wow.
we were racing to get the edit done before his wife gave birth. And
Wow.
a lot of people had babies on this movie. The cinematographer had a baby.
We're in that
The
age
producer
then.
had a
When
child.
were you
Yeah,
born? How old are you?
me.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
1984. Yeah.
you're 84? Okay, I'm
So
82. Nice. I mean, it
yeah.
feels like
Oh,
this is
cool.
something that comes up too, for sure. Yeah, a lot of people are having kids. It's that time of our life, I
Yeah, yeah.
guess.
Yeah, and it's interesting
Um,
because there's a pregnancy in the film, and it was just like a weird, like,
oh wow.
yeah.
You had
So
a lot of healthy alignment, it sounds like, on this film, as far as just either through your producing partner or through obviously you and the material that you have attachment to the actors, having their own versions of being able to relate to it. The editor
yeah,
having, I mean, it
yeah,
seems like it's very much, yeah, you made some right choices here in connecting, bringing on the right people that could really speak to and speak for the movie, right?
yeah, yeah. No, there were a lot of just kind of these alignments that showed up, and yeah, I think it really helped in the final version of the film. So
That's nice, man. Okay, well, you get the what'd you get, an email or a phone call from Tribeca? How did that look?
well, my producer called me, and I was in, like, we had gotten rejected from Sundance, and
Mhm.
we were just
Always a
kind of
nice
in this,
email.
yeah, we were in this, it was just like, the I'd also just gone through this really bad breakup, and
Oh,
I don't know,
fun.
yeah, it was just like a dark time,
This is
and yeah,
yeah.
so I
It's
was,
always that storm before, though. It seems, well, not always, but a lot of times it's like, oh man, I guess it's just what's this gonna equal? Nothing, I guess.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we were, yeah, I was just, like, oh man, is this film not going to get in anywhere? Is this going to be the end? And, and then, yeah, Phil called me, and he got on the phone and just started complaining about his life for like a good 5 minutes, which he sometimes does. We're
Uh-huh.
friends at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
He was
yeah,
just
yeah.
like, he's like, this isn't going right,
Lend
that
me
isn't
your
going
shoulder.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, like right before he hung up, he's like, oh yeah, and by the way, we got to Tribeca. And it's like, and
You're
I
like, wait,
was
what?
just like, yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love that.
And I don't know how he managed to hold on for that long without like,
Was he being funny about it, kind of a little bit, or was he
oh
just?
yeah, yeah, it was a joke. Yeah, I mean, he was
Oh,
just
that's
trying to, yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. He was like
That's
trying to,
wonderful. That's funny.
yeah, 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 yeah. It was great.
Oh man, and the
But yeah,
exhilaration.
I
I
mean,
mean, like when you get that, your feet leave the ground. Really, a lot of times, right? We got
exactly.
in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's as much as you don't want external validation for your work to
Right,
matter, like
right.
it does,
Well, if you know
especially
that
with
people are going to know
selling.
about it
Yeah,
and see it and
yeah,
feel it and all
yeah,
that stuff that you put into it, it's going to be received more so, right? God,
yeah,
need it. Which is external validation, I guess. But I
yeah,
don't make films just for myself. I'm not going to pretend like I do,
yeah. No, it's true.
personally.
Yeah.
But it just maximizes your visibility. And then did you let that ex girlfriend know?
Yeah, no comment. Yeah, that's yeah,
Yeah. Just, oh, by the way, we won best narrative. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Not deleting that, by the way. Let's
yeah,
see
yeah. Great.
here. Once you find your festival home, it's like this. How can you explain to people that haven't experienced that? Where especially something that's substantial, that's Tribeca, where it's like, oh my God, like feeling it's like you found your home. That you've been
Mm,
out in the middle of the desert or something with no water, and then you
yeah.
just found your rescue. Describe that feeling if you don't mind. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
no, I think I had a good 24 hours of calm and like but then unfortunately it's like you then start worrying about all these other things, and
deliverables, etc.
yeah, yeah, we hadn't fully finished the film at that point too, so it's like, oh, we got to get
Mm-hmm.
everything finished. And
Mm-hmm.
and
But
then
now you're
you also
smiling.
have
Now you're
just,
smiling, probably,
yeah,
right? You're like, oh,
yeah,
baby, that's
yeah, but
good.
then you're also like, oh wow, there's the vulnerability of, oh great, now there's going to be a massive, like, people are actually going to
Oh
look,
yeah. Oh yeah.
versus just like
And yes.
it doesn't get in anywhere, then it's like, oh well, people, you don't have to feel worried
That is,
about how
yeah.
it's going to be received. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that was something, but it did feel amazing. I mean, that day I remember just being able to walk around and hitting a certain just kind of milestone in
Yeah.
um your career.
Well, these all this hard work over years and years and years, just and then you kind of run up against this one moment where you get into a festival or you get something like that, where it is this validation, whether for yourself or whatever. That is just such a wonderful, strange thing.
Yeah.
Like, as far as it's totally awesome, but it's also just like it's the same thing as like going and shooting for 6 weeks or whatever it is, or shooting all day, all night. You prep, you shoot, you all, and it all ends up on one little hard drive, and hopefully a couple
Mm,
that you back up. But you know what I mean? It's just so strange how it all
yeah, yeah,
funnels down into this little thing, these little
yeah.
moments or whatever. It's so interesting to me. Um, and but those moments keep you going too, though. Like if you don't get the reward, it gets harder, I think, to continue on.
Mm,
And when you get
yeah,
the reward, whatever that might be for you, man, it gives you life. I think it gives us all life.
yeah.
Um,
No, absolutely.
and so, but then you didn't stop there. You went to Tribeca, preparing for the festival itself. Besides the deliverables, like getting your kind of publicist. I imagine you had a publicist, and thinking about red carpet and thinking about being present of mind. Where was your head at? I guess what did it look like to kind of get ready in that way for the festival?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I have, an incredible team of producers that, have been through this process before.
Hmm.
And, so, you kind of can get questions answered, and like, what's the norms of doing everything.
Hmm.
And they, luckily prepared, a lot of the stuff. But I mean, I think just going back again to what I was saying earlier, like, yeah, there's just like a lot of fear, and, how is this film going to be received, and kind of imposter syndrome-y stuff. That's just like, oh, was this an accident, or like,
Yeah, yeah.
But but then once we were at the festival, I mean, it was just after the first audience saw the film, and I started hearing what people thought of it and getting their reactions, and seeing people just deeply connect with the characters and certain scenes. It was just so meaningful. And especially too with a film like this, where just every single screening there's somebody who's in the audience who is like either in recovery or has somebody that they know, and they just feel deeply seen by the film, or it helps them in some way, and having that as well. So I mean, it's like the journey as a filmmaker for me, but also the journey as somebody who went through this personal experience, and being able to help others in this like very different way than I usually do. So
Amazing. No, amazing. 'Cause it all circles back to like, you had to tell the story. You didn't just want to, you needed to get it out. Right. And it's attached to something so personal to you. And that was the beginning of it all, as opposed to trying to do something that you think other people want to see. It's like, no, you needed to make this, which bravo, man.
yeah.
Last question. What would you tell your younger filmmaking self if you could go back in time?
I think just to this is gonna sound cliche, but just
Give it to me.
trust myself a little bit more, and trust the universe and everybody else around me too. And I mean, I think directors are notorious for this generally, being controlling, and just having just so much fear that the 1,000 things that could go wrong in a day are going to go wrong. And every single bump we hit during the production, we just got over. And I think having gone through this process, I now know just not to get as freaked out about these things that come out. And I think the more present you can be, the more you see things, right? And the more your creativity can kind of flourish. Like you can see the light on this chair, and you're like, oh wow, we should have a shot of that, or a little thing that an actor does, and you're like, hey, I never thought about that, but let's like expand upon that thing you did in the last take, versus being constantly worried you're not going to get the shot. So I think the more present, the less anxious you can be, the more you can really let your creativity thrive. I just wish I didn't take it so seriously too, and take it seriously, but also just have fun with it. And there were days when I did have fun, and like a lot of but I also feel like sometimes you look back at the photos of your own production, and everybody's having all this fun, and it looks like a big party, and you're like, wait, that's I didn't feel like I was part of that at all, and and it's just because especially as a first-time filmmaker, you're just so like just trying to make sure things work out.
You don't know what you don't know,
yeah.
Right? But this
Exactly.
Is a wonderful experience for you, and of course, you came out on top in so many ways. So you're looking in pretty good shape for your next film.
Definitely. Well, I hope so. And thank you so much for having me on. This has been really great.
Oh man, no, thank you for kicking off season 3. Let's go.
Please like and subscribe to this podcast, and follow us on social media at Past Present Feature. And let us know in the comments section what movies you're watching. Thank you so much for listening to the Past Present Feature podcast, and we'll see you next time. Peace. Love learning about filmmaking? There's no better film school than actually watching movies in theaters. Revival Hub is your guide to specialty screenings in Los Angeles. Classics on 35mm, director Q&As, rare restorations, and indie gems you won't find on streaming. Revival Hub connects moviegoers with over 200 venues across LA, from the major Revival houses to the 20-seat micro cinemas and more. Whether you're an aspiring filmmaker or just love great cinema, Revival Hub helps you discover the screenings that matter, the ones that'll change how you see movies. Visit revivalhub.com to see what's playing this week. That's REVIVALHUB.com.